Alright, let's dig in here. Come on, YouTube, show up for us. There we go. Hey everyone, STT here. Hope you've had a good week. If you haven't, hope you've got a good weekend lined up. We're playing a new game today. Well, new for me, new for the stream, and new for this year. I think it launched in like January or February. But this is Nurikabe World. It's just a nice little number puzzle game. You know me. I like my puzzles. I like cozy, chill stuff. I thought this would be a good game for this week. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and try it out. As I said, it is a number puzzle essentially. I'm gonna go. Let's go campaigns because we have to learn how this all goes. Rule. Oh wow, lots of rules to learn. Okay, and this create islands by surrounding numbers of water tiles. Yep. Surround 2. Okay, that's easy enough. Okay, I probably could have skipped through this a long way. Alright, so you need 2. Can't have... There you go, easy enough. You can also place dots, apparently. We need that there. Oh yeah, easy. Oh, I'm not watching the islands grow. Okay, corners, interesting. Corners are allowed to touch, but we can't put things next to each other. So that one has to be like that. And actually the ones are completely separated. And now, okay, I'm gonna wait. Let's see, we've got all of the little stuff growing on the islands. Cute things. Corners 2. Alright, well, we need you. So those are set. We can't do those. Alright. Pools. What does pools mean? Water tiles must never form pools. Interesting. Okay. So let's see what that means in real life. So in other words, we now cannot have this square become water because that would form a 2x2. So that has to be land, and that is the answer. Okay, the fact that water can never do 2x2, that's an interesting point. Alright, so first off, we're doing that for certain. So, we don't want any 2x2 lump. So that means in this 2x2 thing, there has to be a 3. Part of the 3 has to be somewhere. And also we can't have this be something. So that makes sense to be an island. We don't want this. So that looks correct now. Easy enough. Rivers. Okay, now what is this thing? All water tiles on the board must form a continuous river. Alright, well that means that has to be connected, and that has to be connected. So now we can't have a 2x2, so one of these spots has to be island. Probably that, probably that. And we need continuous water, which means that. Anything else? Ooh, okay, this is interesting. So the 2 has to be one of these 2 spots. Either way, this has to be water. And so we gotta connect this water out. And actually this has to be island out, because otherwise we would have a pool. So now we want to avoid 2x2s. So that'll be something there. There we go. Trial. Click or show to hide the error list. Well, okay, first off, these for the 1. 2 and 4 have to do that. Water has to be continuous, so we have to do that. Okay, easy enough. Trial 2. Alright, let's go, let's go. 1 does this. Water has to be continuous. Water has to be continuous. We have to go there. Can't block it off, so that means we're immediately saying this. Pools means that we're done. Awesome. Ones. Oh, yep. So now they're telling us hints for everything. Or solving suggestions. We were already doing that thing with the ones earlier, now they're just making it explicit. Pooling, what's our hint here? Well, okay, we don't want all of these to be water. We don't want all of these to be water. Only way to give land anywhere in here is that, which means this. And we don't want that, so that. Cross. What does this mean? Oh, just the name of the level. It's probably a suggestion. Now, for the river rule, we have to have these. We have to block that off. Okay, easy enough. Pointy! Ooh, what is pointy about this one? That's gotta be there. The 3 has to include this one. It could be either of those, which means that's connected. This has to actually go there. Water must be continuous. And we can't have a pool. Bend. Okay. Giving a lot of answers there. Now, if we don't want pools, instantly that. Separate. Ooh, okay, we have no ones here. Any tile touching 2 numbers must be a water tile. I mean, yes, we were already seeing that. Those are there. Those are there. Yeah. We're in an icy realm now. Interesting. Divisive. Power of 2. Well, okay, yep. You're there. Connection makes that. Alright. We don't want any pools, so that's that. A. V. Okay, that's there. Flames. U, and it can be one of these two. We know that's there. We know that's there, which makes that straightforward. So that's done. This has to go like that. Water has to be continuous. There we go. So yes, this... Obviously, I'm blowing through these early steps. Oh, now they're giving us the dots used to mark land tiles. Yeah, it has to be continuous. Alright, so 4, we know those. And we don't want a pool, which means that. Roundabout. Oh, we've got a 5. We know that. 1, 2... we don't want this to be a pool. We know this is not. Well, we know that's true. We don't want that to be a pool. Okay. Wait, what's the matter? Oh. I'm done, right? Oh, my water's not continuous. Okay, hang on. Wait a minute. My water... Okay. Alright, water has to be continuous. We know that. How do we put 5 together? We can't have this thing on its own. Oh, I see. Oh, hang on. There we go. That's better. Now water to be continuous has to go there. There we go. Took me a moment on that one. Breezy. Why are you called Breezy? Hang on. So if our continuous rule does that, we don't want pools. There we go. Glider. I like how the puzzles are getting bigger. I like... Alright, we need one of these to be land, which I think means that one. That makes all that water nice and continuous. Now we don't want a pool, which means this. Barrier. Those are the ones we're talking about here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need this so that we don't have a pool up here. Now, if we don't want a pool down here, we need that. Ooh, a hint! We're getting a hint this time? That have only one free tile to go. Like, yes, we knew that already. I've been working on that. Now, whoop. I like how I've intuited some of these rules to begin with before they've explicitly told me what the hints are. I feel like that means it's pretty well designed. Alright, let's be that. Oh, excuse me. We don't want this to be a pool, so one of these two has to be true. This actually could be a lot of stuff. We also need one of these two to be not, so let's do that. Forces that. If I don't want this to be a pool, we do that, we do that. Yeah, at this point, y'all are just watching me solve on my own here, which I hope you might have some fun. I need that there. Some fun seeing if you're racing myself. But there's going to be not a lot otherwise. I'm just trying to race through as much of this as I can on stream. So I'm actually really enjoying this. Again, I like having chill game time. It is very pleasing to me. I love my number puzzles. I really do. It's a nice break from the world, honestly. Alright, so we've got extras. We know those. You have to go there. You have to... Oh, there we go. That makes sense. You can only do that. Only do that. We have to connect the water here. There we go. Steps. We've now got 2 things open. Challenge. Ooh. Let's do a challenge, shall we? Alright. Easy start. Now with easy water, we know these have to do that. Something to that effect. Same thing over here. We know that has to be true. That 3 is done. Alright, now we don't want anything like that. I think that'll be thing. That'll be thing. There we go. Pizza? Give me that za. Alright, this is actually already being a lot more difficult. Okay, so can't have all of these be washed. I think that's true, which forces that. This can't be isolated, so that's got to be that. Now, we don't want this to be a pool. We don't want this to be a pool. We don't want that to be a pool. That's got to be there. We need this connected. Need that connected. Small break. Well, that means that. Wow, this is actually going to be a lot harder now because we really have to consider the pooling thing. This has to do that. Easy. So this either goes all the way around to join up, or it can just break straight through and join up. Now, I'm looking at this. Okay, actually, hang on. We know the total number of land pieces. We can then subtract and figure out the total number of river pieces that we need. Because we're only going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more land pieces on here. I'm going to go out on a limb and do this. Now, to be connected, we have to do this. I'm just trying to intuit right now. There we go. Tight space. Okay. Actually, I like tight spaces. I think that's easier, right? This has to go there. Alright, so we've got a 3 and a 4 here. Oh, hang on. Alright, so this water cannot connect to this water. It's gonna get a break somewhere. So I think the best way to do that is this. Which means that has to go through there. Balanced. Ooh! That has to do that. We don't want a pool. We need you. Don't want a pool, so that's got to be there. Those are broken up. There we go. Busy, busy, busy. Oh, there's a... Oh, good lord. Okay. The thing about this setup is how do we have a continuous thing of water one, two, three, four. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can't place this here, otherwise it cuts everything off. So that's got to be like that. And to avoid a pool, we say that. Fishbone. Okay. We need continuous water, so we know that. Can't even reach this. Now, this could be land, or it could be water. We need continuous water, so actually we know that. We know that. Continuous water, continuous water. Pressure. Okay. Again, continuous water says that. If we put land here, that cuts any water off, so we need to do that. Intro-ish. What? Okay. First, everybody won. Oh, no, there we go. You guys do that. Has to come out that way. You're like that. We can't have a pool. Can't have a pool. Can't have a pool. Well, it has to go here. Connection forces that. Connection there. I mean, connection here. Can't have a pool. Uh-oh. Nope, I've forced a pool. I have forced a pool. We have to go back quite a ways, I think. This 2 is wrong. This 2 is wrong. Oh, no, now we have a pool there as well. Alright, hang on, let's go back. This, yes. We know this. Can't have pools. One of these, can we do that? Yes. There we go. I didn't have to backtrack as far as I did, but we got there. Easy starts. Those done. Now what we're gonna get is something incredibly symmetric here. And we want to avoid pools. We also can't limit the water. So in other words, we can't put water in the corner, because the only way for it to connect would cut the 3 off, so that has to be land. Same thing on all of these. So, if we don't want this to be a pool, we have to do that exactly. And then same thing underneath. Yeah. You got the challenge. Fall leaves. So it's just the aesthetic. Gotta connect, gotta connect. Gotta connect. Edges. Okay. Okay, hang on. We don't want pools. That has to be true. Those have to connect. Those have to connect. We can't put land there, because that would cut this off. Don't want pool, don't want pool. Avoidance. Alright, we need connection for the water. Whether it goes, it can't go here. Alright, so that means we force that. We don't want a pool, so we're forcing that. Connection has to happen. There we go. Squiggle! Let's squiggle. Oh, well. Connections do that. Now, we don't want pools, so The 5 has to connect to these two, so that forces that completely. We can't have this be a pool. We do need that connected, so alright. We are done. I don't know if I'm supposed to be just blazing through these as quickly as I am, but I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it. Alright, so, alright, we need you to do that. Can't have a pool. So now we need that. This can't be a pool. So either these both are that, or that's just like that. Forces that. Actually, yeah, that has to... Okay. Everyone has to connect. All the water has to connect, I should say. Oh, hello! Well, this is kind of fun. Y'all do that. We know this. Well, that forces those. Those are also forced. There. Now, okay, where are our pool avoidance cells? Okay, that's actually forced. That's forced. Oh, well, now we're not having as much fun anymore. Alright, we can't have this be a pool, so that's gotta go there. Oh, wait, now that's a pool. Hang on, and I undid that. Let's do that instead. That's better. I know what I'm doing, I promise. Broken 4. Okay, that needs connection. This needs connection. Can't have pool. Egg! Can I offer you an egg in these trying times? Interesting start. What do we know? That does that, which now means that. That has to go there. Okay. Means that. That has to go there. This has to go here. And again, we've now got kind of a land bridge in the middle, which I think forces that to happen. And this. Okay, okay, cool. I really, just looking at this feels like it should connect. And we actually know that, because if we put these three together, then we can get a lot of pools up here, so that's true. Again, this water looks like it really should connect. So we need one of these to be land. We need one of these to be land. Actually, and I think we have to do that. That and that. There, that looks good. That looks good. Alright, so for connection's sake, we have to do that. You gotta go there. Oh. There we go. Wait, what's wrong here? Where's... Oh, I'm not connected there. Okay, I see the problem. Let's go back a bit. We know that. We know that. Okay, hang on. Hang on. There we go, because it's connected the other way around. Yeah. Bits and pieces. Oh, okay, hang on. Start with the ones. We know that, we know that. That has to come forward like that. Now let's block off any things that are next to each other, like that. To avoid a pool, we have to do that. Connect that to that. That has to do that. That's done. Those are now connected. That's just gotta be there. Leaf. A good puzzle game makes you feel smart, even if it's just leading you straight through everything it's supposed to lead you through, which I appreciate. So that has to do that. Now we don't want this to be a pool. Now if we put the 3 here, we force a pool here, so that's got to be water. We don't want a pool there, we got to do that. Alright, I think the rest of this game is avoiding pools. It says 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Well, we can't do that. So we're going to do that. We don't want this to be a pool. There we go. We finished! Yay! More challenges. Workout time. First shape. This one is definitely interesting because there's not a lot you can do with it. So if we put both of these as a 3, this water has to go all the way around. And this water will come around this way. So if we start with this, what happens? As I said, this has to go around. We know that. This has to come around. That does that. We know that. Oh! So that was the right thing to begin with. Mostly just a guess, but at the same time, if you're used to puzzles, you can start to kind of intuit what looks correct. That has to come out this way. As does this. Does that. You're done. Now this water could connect this way, or it could connect down here. Not sure yet. We don't want this to be a pool, we need to do that. We don't want that to be a pool, so we've got to do that. What other pools do we need to avoid now? Can't be this, can't be this, can't be this. So this one's easy to avoid just by doing that. There we go. Powering, okay. Just all of that makes that pretty straightforward. Ah, there we go. Water has to connect. Water has to connect. There we go. Ducky! Oh, it is a duck, isn't it? Alright. No, that's water. That's water. That's land. We've got that. No. I can click properly, I promise. That has to do this. So this water is not going to connect this way at all. We can't have it out here, so that's got to be that. So that means this water will come through this way. Oh, we gotta do this. Gotta do that, gotta do that. Alright, this is interesting. Let's do this. I think that is required here. Alright, so we don't want this to be a pool. If we put land here, this gets locked out. So that has to be water, which means we lock that way. Think that. Now what if we just lock the 6 off completely? That works. Got a frog now. Again, let's get the 1s. Let's get the next door neighbors. This has to come out. There aren't no real other neighbors to worry about, but we do have water that has to escape this way, escape that way, escape that way. Then what? So here's the thing. Here's a potential pool. This cannot be reached by any of the numbers, which means we have to do that. This is a pool. If the 3 goes here, the 2's blocked off, so it has to be that. Now there's a potential pool here, there's a potential pool here. Easy to get rid of by doing that. Whether that's correct or not, I don't know. In fact, let's not mark it right now. So this 3, actually that's pretty straightforward. I should have seen that before. Alright, if I let this 3 just be the top completely. Pool avoidance forces this. I would need to put the... oh, and now we're stuck. Because I would need to avoid this pool and link these 3, but then there are those pools. So that is not correct. This is correct. Those have to link. Right, because we need a 3 to go here. We basically need it there. I'm guessing here that those connect, that those connect. Now, we don't need water here, but we can't reach it otherwise, so I'm going to do that. This has to get out, so I'm going to do that. I can't put land here, because if this was land, that water would get cut off. So we have to do that. Something to that effect. That has to be there to avoid pooling. Which means that. Oh. Something... oh, because we got the water cut off. Okay, hang on. Now we've got a pool there. I messed something up earlier. I'm confident about this, though. And that cuts it off. Alright, hang on. We need to go back. Something's wrong. Resume, restart. Let's... I mean, that is true. You can't really do much else over here. Unless, hang on. No, because that water has to go through. That was true. And we know it can't be all 3 here, so we gotta do this. Those connect. Hey! Sorry, my cat's playing with some paper bags again. That, yes. I feel like I'm running into the same problem, though. Yeah, if this is not a pool, that has to do that. So that means that has to go there. Maybe these aren't connected the way I think they are. Well, this water has to connect over this way, and like that. We do this. Well, now there's a massive pool here. Good lord. Restart. Let's just... Alright. Try this again, and again. We know... Actually, you know what? This doesn't have to be water. We know that this does, but this one does not. That was my first mistake, I think. That might actually give us more room to work with. Alright, let's get back to it. That has to go there. This has to at least go there, and we know it's doing this because of the other stuff that we set over here. Now we don't want a pool up here, so let's do this. We'll connect it over. Let's do this now instead. We know that. Okay. Can't put the 3 there. Okay, let's remake what we had done before, essentially. Connect water around. We actually now have one continuous thing of water, which is great. There we go. That was the problem. I made an assumption about the water in that little corner. Okay. Ones. Connect there. Ones. Now, if this is not a pool, we have to do that, which means all of that is true now. Now, we know this to be true. That has to connect like that. Okay. And those come through. Actually, well, so we don't need all 4 of these to be connected. Any one of these can be missing. And we'd still be okay. Now we know the 4 has to do that. Alright, we don't want a pool, so we do this, we do that. So one of these 2 has to connect. You don't need both of them, but you need one of them. Now, this can't be a pool, so we gotta do this. Something to that effect. This cannot be a pool, so we're doing that. This cannot be a pool. That is all set up. Alright. We are close. This cannot be a pool. We can't reach it by the 3 or 4, so that means one of these 2 has to be land. If this is land, then we get water here and here, and that's forced off. If this is land, we do a full connection here with water, and that's forced off. And actually that's water as well. We know this is water then. And actually, this can't be, because it can't be reached. Okay. At this point, I feel like I'm guessing. It'll be trial and error. So let's see what happens if I do this. We need a 4 and a 3, which I think... There we go. We're definitely getting to the thinkier parts, and I'm liking it. Are there any other nearby neighbors we can... Yeah, that's never going to be land. Can't reach. That's never going to be land. That's not. These are not. That's not. This needs that to be connected. That needs that to be connected. That's got to do that. We don't want a pool, we do that. Got to come through. So we're doing that. Alright, this square has to be water. Can't be reached anywhere else. That one's also. Now, if I make this land, this is water, and we've got a lot of weird stuff to handle, so I'm thinking that's probably correct. Not guaranteed, but that's my guess right now. Oh, that has to go up. That's like that. I'm gonna... What happens if I just do, like, this? Well, now we have a piece of land, now we've got the pool. So that, yeah, let's not do what I started there. Where's our pool analysis? This cannot be a pool, it can only be reached by the 4, therefore we do that. This cannot be a pool. This cannot be a pool. This, okay, so this cannot be a pool and it can only be reached by the 2. Now, for this to be connected, it has to do that. If the 4 comes here, we're wrong. There we go. There's our connection. This has to come around. This has to come around somehow. There we go. Smooth sailing. Oh, good lord, look at this thing. What? Okay, okay. Again. Start where... Can't be a pool. Okay, this has to come forward like that. Let's get rid of these ones. We know that. Can't be a pool. This also can't be a pool. At least we know that. There's no land that can reach this at this point. Can't reach that. Can't reach that. Can't reach that. Can't reach that. I'll come back to that corner. Okay. This 3 cannot reach there. Can't reach there. We can go there. Yeah, no. So this 2 can go to all. 3 can reach there. Nothing can reach there. Nothing can reach here. Or here. We don't want this to be a pool, we do that. This has to connect to something, it comes out this way. This has to connect to something, it comes out that way. This one does this with that 3 right there. These 2s do that. Okay. That water has to connect that way, so if we're doing this, that 2 goes there. This water has to connect somewhere. We know that. So this right here is interesting. I think if I do this, we're still mostly connected. I could also do this. We're also mostly connected. So I feel like I've done something wrong because I have 2 separate answers here that should work. Oh, nope, there's a pool there. I missed that. I did not have 2 separate answers that could work. Speaking of which, can't have a pool there. So we gotta do that. Okay, cool. This little bit of water has to connect to something else. Okay, hang on. This water has to go forward at least a little bit. This water has to go at least there. This water has to go at least there. This water can do either of these 2 spots. This water can do either of these 2 spots. This water has several places it can go. Alright, now there's a big gap in here that I feel like I can eliminate some squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, that's 5. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. So that's out. These are out. Okay, the question is how now to... Alright, we need to avoid that. Now, if we want no pool here, we need at least that. This water has to do that. We're set there. So now this water has to escape upwards, so we're set there. This water has to escape this direction. Somehow. Alright. This water has to connect... Well, hang on. Could we... No, we can't separate... This is the 5, so we can't separate those. That has to do that. And now we have distinction with the 5. This water has to connect. Awesome! We solved that corner. So we actually have to do that. Because we don't want pools. Cannot have pools. So actually that's that 3. Wow, okay. Now again, this whole bottom corner is now connected like that. Now we know that. Fine. Can't have a pool, so we do that. Have to have the water connecting. There we go. Woo. Islands. Hint surround. Oh, hello. What's our hint right now? Completed islands can be surrounded with water. Okay, we've been doing that. That water has to escape. This water has to escape. Now yes, what can be reached where? The last 3 can go to either of these. This water has to escape. We can't have this be a pool. So we know that. Can't have that be a pool. Can't have that be a pool. Minesweeper? I love Minesweeper! As you all have probably seen me play the 3D Minesweeper game a couple of times. That water has to get out, so we know that. So that has to go there. That has to... can't pool. Water has to get out. 5 has to get out. 3 does that. Water has to get out. 3 figures it out. And we connect everything else. Collision course. Uh-oh. Alright, we know those to start with. Got some completed islands. Water has to connect. These come out. That 3 can't go there. 4 could go into either of these spots. Let's complete the 3. We don't... Ooh, okay. Water. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Snake 4. Ooh, hello. Now that's weird. 1, 2, 3, 4. We know that. This water has to get out. So now we know that. Yeah. Water still has to get out. We're doing this. We don't want this to be a pool, so we need to at least put that together. If the water has to connect, we know this. At the very least. We know that's water. Now either this is water and that's land, or this is water and that's land. This water has to get out. Okay. The fact that the water has to get out is forcing a lot of our hand here. There we go. Reflection. Okay, just symmetric. It's just symmetric top to bottom. So the question then is, what comes next? Where do we know we can't have water? Or can't have... We know we can't do any of that. We don't want pools, so we instantly know those. These waters have to connect, so we do that. Can't have pools, so we do that. And we're done. Hint counting? I bet I've been doing this. That no number can... So yeah, exactly. We've been doing this. Those can be reached. This cannot. Just know that. Now what? Oh, we know this. We don't want pools, so those have to be... Those all have to be true. That's connecting there. We'll do this. Oh, that's a pool now. There we go. Stretching islands. That's true. We know all that. Because that can't reach anywhere else. This can go... Yeah, so that's out there. I think that's there. Huh. Alright, we know this. We know this. Looking for where pools are helps quite a lot. Okay, let's fill some of this in. So where... Oh, we don't want a pool in this area, which I think forces that. Right? Oh! Oh, what the heck? Alright, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It can reach all the way, but we then get something to this effect. So 5s, with this in the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We know that. Alright, we can't have pools, so those are true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Technically true, but not because we can't have the 6 run into that. So now we know this for sure. That 5 has to do this. That's not true. There we go. Can't have isolated tiles of water. Fork in the road. Alright, what else can or can't we do? Well, that can't be reached. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this can't be reached. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cannot, can. We need this. So the 4 is connecting here or here. Either way, we know that. So the 6 by default has to go out this way. At least a little bit. We actually can't have the 4 go here. We know that. So if the 4 is here and the 6 can only do this, that's true. Alright, so how are we avoiding pools from here on out? So if this cannot be a pool, this is going to be water, because we can't have the 4 reach it. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could, in theory, make this part of the 6, but then we get a pool up there, so that has to be true. And we do need the 6 to get up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is certainly a possibility. We could also have the 6 go here or up here. We can't have the 6 go all the way into the corner because then this becomes a pool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, we could even have the 6 do a splitsy sort of thing. That'd be interesting. This water has to connect at least one of these 2 spots. This water has to connect at least one of these 2 spots. Alright, I am gung-hoing that. Okay! It works. It works. Flip-flops. Oh, fine. Yeah, okay, so. I don't like this. I will just come out and say that I don't like this. But that does give us stuff to work with. Not a lot, mind you. But it does give us stuff to work with. So let's just... Alright, here's a chain of events we can look at. If I make this land, that's forced to be land. And then in order to avoid that, we do this. And that. Which I don't think tells us much after the fact. If we were to fill all this in as necessary, based on these, yeah, we're not getting it. Okay, that would force this. force that, and we get a pool. So immediately we know that is not correct, this is correct. Alright, let's avoid pools if we can. Let's keep going like we were pretending earlier. If we do this, that forces that. I don't see anything else particularly forced. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I'm really dumb. Before we guess, this thing right here has to be land. We know that. This now has to be land. Making that land. Making that land. So that was correct. We don't want this to be a pool or that to be a pool. Okay, now I feel like either of these... Oh, that's a pool. That would be a pool, so we can do that. We are almost done with the intro! Vacation. Alright, let's see what we're doing here. Again, all the ones. That 2 is done. That 3 has to do that. Water escapes this way. That water has to escape that way. 3 has to go there. That 2 is set. This water has to escape that way. Now we're a little more... Alright, so hang on. Right here. Can't be a pool. Can only be hit by the 3. Water has to escape there. This can't be hit by anything now. That can't be hit by anything. That forces the pool rule to do that and that. Really? 16! I can see why they said, really? That has to escape there. 16 has to come here. Now for the 16 to get past the 3, we have to do that, which forces this pattern. And we don't want a pool. And I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. And last 6. That's an achievement. Complete. Really? Top heavy. Okay, there's an 8 on the top, which is why it's top heavy. Har, har, har. Alright, that water has to escape there. This water has to escape here, which closes off the 2 and the 3. Can't have that be a pool. Can't have this be a pool, so we have to at least do that. Can't have this be a pool, so we're doing that. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Has to be at least one of these, then 6, 7, 8. Is there a preference for which one this can or can't be? Oh, this has to go through. There. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oops. Okay, there we go. I can count! I promise I can count. Arrow? Why is this one called an arrow? We know this. Okay. We don't want this to be a pool. We don't want this to be a pool. The only way for this to not be a pool is with that. Nothing can reach that. Nothing can reach that. This can't be isolated water, so we have to do that. Avoiding the pool there. We have to avoid this pool, so we do that. All the water's connected except for this guy. No one can reach here. We don't want this to be a pool, so we need at least that. We don't want this to... Okay, we've already got that settled. We don't want this to be a pool. Which means that has to go there. Oh, that's set. Nope, nope, I did that wrong. Let's pretend this. There we go. Doggy! Okay, sure. This is interesting. Alright, what can or can't we hit? This is where... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can't get into the tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can't get into this part. 4... Yeah, we... As far as I can tell, we can hit everything here. Now, if we put the 7 here, we now completely cut off the 3. So actually, we know that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's at least what we're doing with the 7. And actually, those can't be missing water, so we know that's true. We know that's true. Alright. So if it were me, I'm being sneaky and clever here. Or attempting to be clever. Oh, no, can't. Can't. There we go. Polar opposites. Uh-oh. So we've got two sides of the board that in theory are looking completely different. Well, that's gotta be this, somehow. Same up here. 5. Where can or can't... I think both of those are possible at the moment. Why would one of them not be possible? For this water to connect to this water, we need to do this. Oh, here we go. So now we need to have the water through, which does this. Awesome. Pool reminder? How's this a pool reminder? Alright, water has to get out everywhere it is. Now that's that. And that. Which means this has to do that. Alright, we don't want pools. We don't want pools. Which means we need to get both of those in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only have 7 to work with, so it's that. Latch. Oh, Lord. Alright, we're down again to the question of who can reach where. 6s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't reach either of those two spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't reach there. Can reach everything else around here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It could go all the way over if it really wanted to. We know those are true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, yeah, we can't... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't reach that top corner. 4, 5, 6. Okay, yeah, 7 can go everywhere. Alright, so if we put water here, that forces a pool, so we can't do that. Which I think means this is a good guess. Now we don't want this to be a pool. And now I've got too many. And I've got too many, unless 7 comes around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is possible. But now can we get 6 to... Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Yes. Yes. I think that's it. Oh. What did I do wrong here? Okay. Miscounted, that's all. But that was an interesting thing, because what I did on that previous puzzle was use the numbers to create long tails that just had, you know, channels between them. So that is a good solving hint, if you want to put it that way. So that water has to connect out somehow. Alright, that's that. Can't... What? Oh, yeah, water has to be connected. That makes things a little bit easier. This has to come out. Can't have a pool. Alright, this cannot reach there. We know that. Nothing can reach there. The 5 can get here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the 5 can reach almost everywhere. Pool. Get rid of that. This pool is a potential pool. Actually, this is never going to be a pool. We don't have to worry about it because this 3 will fill one of them. We just don't know which one. This could be a pool unless it's hit by the 5. What if we do something crazy like this? The F pentomino. Wait, am I cooking here? I'm not. Now we've got a... Yeah. Almost made it, but that was not cooking. Oh, wait, this water has to get out. Okay, so we know that. We know that. That water has to get out. That water has to get out. Can't be a pool. Okay. This water has to get out. Water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. 4 problems. Okay, yeah. 4 different areas. Let's start over here, I think. 1, 2, 3. Can't be reached. Can't be reached. This water has to get out. So we know that. This water also has... Actually, hang on. I shouldn't say that. Because this water could connect and go over. Same thing here. Alright. I'm not as smart as that started with. This water has to go through, at least. Five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And yeah, for the water to go around the 3, that makes the most sense. Okay, we know that. Hang on, if we put a land here, that's impossible, so we know that. Again, if we put land here, again, we would cut off either this or this, so we know that. Let's just cut all that off, shall we? Do this. Nope, nope, nope. There we go. That's better. That water has to get out. And actually, hang on. Okay, I've messed up again. I know those two. This water has to get out. This water has to come around somehow. Okay, now we are... No, that was... Yeah. I don't know what I missed. First steps. Complete the campaign intro. Alright. Intro Tour Variation Advance. More easily with a variety of levels. Medium to advanced levels. Alright, we're going to see if we can jump into the advanced. We'll just do one. Because it's almost 8. Oh, okay, this looks fun. Alright, first off, do the easy ones first. Those are all the ones. Next up, neighbors. Have some of the water escape where it needs to. You're a neighbor. Alright, now we get interesting. This, we know has to be like that. This water now has to escape this way. Okay, okay. What can I solve next? So this water can either come through here, or it can go around here. If the water tries to come through here, then that blocks off this water, so we can't do that. We know that has to be true. Interesting. Now again, we want to make sure this water has to get out. Okay, hang on. This water has to get out somehow while also leaving space for the 5 to exist. Which means that. I'm pretty sure it means that. Again, this water has to get out. We know that. I should have put that in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's nothing that can reach that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the 4 can reach there, can reach there. And the 3s can reach everything there. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cannot reach that. For the pool, we do that. So if I put a 2 here, this becomes a pool. So we know that's not right. We do this. We don't want this to be a pool, so we have to at least do that. This water cannot come through this way, so it has to come through that way. Which now forces that 4. This water has to get out somehow. This water has to get out somehow, along with this and that. Okay. Alright, this water does this. Advanced, complete. Oh wow, okay, cool. One more. I'm liking this. Oh wait, what is the... Okay, I haven't seen this before. What is... I don't know what the 3 underline means. I can't complete this puzzle. I don't know what that means. Quit menu here. That was rude. How did that... Teaching tips. Collection of various advanced levels and introduction to variant rule sets. Okay, that's probably what those 3 underline meant. Actually, we still have 5 minutes. We're gonna do some dailies because who doesn't like chasing dailies? Nope, there we go, there we go. That 9. Oh my, the 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that actually could, well, I think it has to do that. We know that. This blue has to get out somehow. We'll do that. Ooh, okay, okay, okay. 3, 4, 5. 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9. There we go. Medium. Okay. Okay, those are the obvious ones to start with. Water that has to escape does this. Okay. This is interesting. So 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can't be reached, can't be reached, can't be reached, can't be reached. This water has to get out that way. This water has to get out that way. Which means that has to be that in some capacity. Huh. Okay, wait, the 4? Okay. Which means this, which means that, which means that. Now, whether the 3 is here or here, we have to do for that water there. For that water to connect, it does that. Now what can't be reached, can't be reached. Gotta prevent the pool, so we do this. So we can't have both of these as land, because then this water gets cut off. We can't have both of these as land, because then we get a pool here, and that is cut off. So I think that's true. We can't have, yeah, that's got to be, there we go. So this water now has to come around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This can't be reached, so that has to do that. This has to be free to come through, so that happens. So we know that. Oh, we know that. We know that. Okay, that means gotta do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cool, with there. Gotta do, okay, there we go. And now this has to connect. Huzzah! And now we go to a hard. Okay, none of the weird underlines. I like the aurora. I will never be sad about seeing the aurora. That's there, that's there. That has to go free. This has to come free, so something like that. What next? We know those. We know that. Alright, what can't be reached? 1, 2, 3, no 2, none of those can be reached. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, both of those can be reached by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. Fine. These cannot be reached. Which means that has to be there. And immediately, so this is the third one, has to do something like this. And that locks these off as well. This is looking weird. How did I get here? We know all of that. Okay, there we go. Seven has to make it here. So we need at least that. 2, 3, 4, 5. I could put both of these on. Hang on. Oh wait, so this water has to get out. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This water still has to get out, so we've got to do that. We don't want the pool, so we do that. So I could put the last 5 here or here. Either way, we have to do this. Which forces that. That has to get out, that has to get out. That's forced. This has to get out. Immediately that's all forced and the water connects. Huzzah! Alright. I'm gonna lose time in this game. I can already tell this game is right up my alley. It's just kind of like Minesweeper. It's very similar to, oh, what's it called? Mimic Logic. Well, not super similar, but it's, again, just one of those nice logic puzzles. But yeah, this is like, it's more like Minesweeper. If you play Kakuro, it's like that. I don't know. This is fun. I mean, it really just is kind of like Minesweeper. And I love games like that. But that is Nurikabe World. And it is zen, it is peaceful. Infinite mode's gonna be dangerous if I completely get through the campaign. Like, what is even infinite mode? Easy, medium, hard, yeah. We're gonna have fun. Yeah, there are only 300 campaign puzzles, and we did almost a third of them in just this little run through here. User levels. That's right, because there's a level editor. Paste a level. Okay, campaigns, puzzles. We'll have fun with that later. But I hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.